Welcome to Chabad and Friends. In continuation with speaking about Rabbi Laizerson of Torah V'das, Rabbi Yaakov Moshe Laizerson, I remind myself of another important detail, and that is that there's a letter printed in the Rebbe's Igros Kodesh dated Beis Nissen Tafshin Lab in 1970. And the letter is written to Rabbi Laizerson, but within the title of the letter, the Rebbe refers to the group of Avrechim, the group of young married Bocharim who attended a meeting of Fabrengen with Rabbi Laizerson, and the Rebbe writes a letter to Rabbi Laizerson thanking him for arranging it and giving him the courage to encourage the others to continue learning Chasidus. And here we see how in the Igros Kodesh the letters have a background. Sometimes we know a little bit of the background, sometimes we know very little or none of the background, but when we know about the background, it only makes the letter and its message so much more important and more eternal. So here's an example. This letter doesn't really say what it's about. Seemingly he's just giving thanks and encouragement to Rabbi Laizerson. But in the heading, the title, he writes also Lehavrechim. Now, Rabbi Laizerson was a middle-aged person, so he wasn't an avrech. He wasn't a younger man. So the story is, as told to me, and I mentioned it briefly the other in one of the other episodes, that Rabbi Leizer Lichtenstein, today of Har Nof, he was the avrech. He wasn't married yet, but he was a student at the Kamenetz Yeshiva, which his father was a Rosh Yeshiva, being in Yerushalayim, being that he is his father's a son-in-law of Rabbi Baruch Ber Leibovitz, the Kamenetz Rosh Yeshiva, and Leizer is a grandson. So Leizer brought a group of Talmidim from the Kamenetz and the Yeshiva to Rabbi Laizerson, who he had heard already became a Lubavitcher in the 1960s, like I told you, because Yosef Rosenfeld, Rabbi Yosef Rosenfeld of Tzfas, learned with him Chasidus and the Chitas, and they started to walk to the Fabrengens. He started to walk together with him to Fabrengens, and he became a real Heisel Lubavitcher Chassid. So when he came to New York, when he came to Eretz Yisrael for to visit his sister in 1970, Laizerson arranged quietly, because it wasn't known that he was a Lubavitcher. Lichtenstein. It wasn't known that Lichtenstein was a Lubavitcher. His own father didn't know. So Lichtenstein brought a group quietly of people who had an interest in Chasidus to Laizerson, and Laizerson spoke to them about his feelings about Chasidus and the Rebbe, and that inspired them. Another thing Rabbi Rosenfeld told me is, and my father told me this, that Laizerson, who would daven frequently at Rabbi Simson Shul in Borough Park, told my father that the Rebbe once gave him a mission to share with his friends, the Litvak Roshei Yeshivas, the importance of learning Chasidus, Pnimiyus HaTorah. And my father says he also spoke to him, he remembers him saying that they should learn Chitas too. Be that as it may, we see clearly that this title in the letter, Lehavrechim, is that the Rebbe is thanking Laizerson for taking the time to speak to this young group of Bocharim, of the Kamenetz Yeshiva, to inspire them to learn Chasidus. And this is a message for all of us, in any way, shape, or form that we could do, to share the beauty of Chasidus with everyone.